السلام عليكم. لا تنسوا الاعجاب بالفيديو والاشتراك في القناة تشجيعا لنا لنستمر بنشر المزيد ان شاء الله.
That appropriated much of the values.
So you consider bringing people to the worship of one God instead of worshipping fire, idols, monkeys, elephants, trees, stones.
Wait. That's a straw man argument.
Slow down. Let me make my argument
Islam
first.
has no right to make those military excursions.
Excuse me, listen.
And force people to convert.
Am I allowed to make my
argument? Now
argument?
with the Yazidi in Iraq.
Am I allowed to make my argument first?
Yeah, you can make.
Good. So, do you agree? If Islam came to invite people to return to the worship of one God instead of worshipping a cow or a monkey or a rat or a stone or idols or fire or river, whatever, do you think this is a good thing or a bad thing?
If it was an invitation and not a military excursion, then obviously, choice. But I don't think it was an invitation. I think there was a lot of genocide and destruction of cultures throughout the Middle East and North Africa.
So invitation is okay?
Huh?
So invitation is okay. Inviting
An
a whole civilization.
Yes, theoretically it would be okay. You'll be
fine.
Perfectly fine.
So how did Islam spread to those countries? Start with Mesopotamia.
Military conquest.
Start with
the massacre of the Jews of Medina. It was military conquest.
Slow down, Mesopotamia. Start with Mesopotamia. So Islam went to which country in Mesopotamia and it invaded?
Yes.
Give me the names and dates.
Oh my God! Now we're going to start going into exact minute details.
Yes. No one. Excuse me. What's interesting is we shouldn't be waffling, right? You shouldn't be waffling.
It's hard
when it comes to history
of Muhammad the Prophet, just came to the region and everyone just went on their knees and said, "This is right."
My friend, what's your name?
I'm sure there was a military conquest,
What's your name?
forced sexual slavery.
What's your name?
Shazad.
Shazad. I'm Mansoor, right?
Huh?
Now Shazad, tell me, when Islam came to Mesopotamia, which country in Mesopotamia, now as we know by country, because Mesopotamia is no longer Mesopotamia, it has modern names. So in the 7th century, when Islam arrived to those countries, okay, so name them, date them, and how were they being invaded with a military destruction as you portray? Go ahead. We're all listening.
After the death of Muhammad, in which the vast majority of the Arabian Peninsula was now subjugated under Islam, subsequent caliphs came and continued with a process of invasion of the region, in which, for example, the Christians of Syria and Egypt became minorities in that region, as the rest of the population was subjugated up to Islam. And in Persia, for example, Iran, Zoroastrianism ceased to remain
so you mentioned some countries.
Religion.
Okay,
and
Persia.
Those who remained Zoroastrian had to take refuge in India.
Let's go back. So Syria. So in Syria, you claim there was an invasion, destruction, and of people and genocide.
Yeah.
Yep. So now tell me, which historians? Slow down. Which historians, who are academic historians, have mentioned a genocide of the local population, whether they were Christians or otherwise, when the Muslims went to Syria and it annihilated them? It invaded the country first of all. Yep. We didn't invite them because you are disagreeing with that. You said no invitation.
I don't think that any historian
slow down.
Theologically agrees with Islam would say anything against it.
Shazad, don't make logical fallacies. Oh, you know what? We have no historian on planet Earth who has the guts and is brave enough to speak the truth, because if they didn't mention what they mentioned, then off of the head. Is that what you're saying? No, I don't buy that. Listen, Shazad, which historians, academic historians from planet Earth, it doesn't have to be a Muslim, right? It could be a Christian historian or a Jewish historian or a pagan historian, no problem. Academic historians who have really, with historical references and resources and sources, have stated that when Muslims went to Syria, so you tell me when they went to Syria, they didn't invite the people, local population, they invaded and annihilated and committed genocide. So now go and start with your references.
Oh, now you're going to now you give names, dates, quotes, citations.
That's what you're claiming. Go ahead.
But
do you want my phone for Google?
All you're really doing is say, tell me where this or tell me where that. So the ball's in your court at the moment.
No.
You can actually say.
Who made the claim? Who made the claim?
I'm supposed to dig out all the...
Shazad, you make the claim. there was this invasion, destruction, genocide, right? No invitation. The onus, I'm afraid, Shehzad, is on your court to provide the evidence for such a claim that you've made.
Religion does not go all the way from Morocco to Tunisia.
Slow down, Shehzad.
Not one single member was killed. Not one single army battle took place.
Your waffling is not going to help generalization.
It just doesn't
Now
work.
we are going to specific. First Syria, then we're going to go to Persia, and whatever you want. Because I stopped you there saying step by step. So in Syria, right? When did Islam go to Syria? And how was the mechanism? And start naming the historians. Go ahead. If you don't know, why don't you go to British Library? Is it open today? Do some research and learning. Yeah. Come back next week or the week after. Don't worry. I've been coming to this park for many years. So it is, if God willing, and I'm still alive, I might be coming the next week and the next week after, until how many years to come? Who knows? Shehzad.
Yeah.
So what I'm asking you is this. Names, references, dates.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay.
Okay.
We start with a credible historian in your eye. As a historian, he mentions this.
So, do you want me to come back next week and give you?
Yes.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
That's fine.
That's probably fair, isn't it? Because I don't want to put you on the spot, because we don't expect everyone to know the references on the spot.
Yeah.
So now, we'll start with Syria, and we'll hopefully have meaningful discussions subsequently in many weeks to come, God willing, right? You know, we'll have a very learning experience in these discussions. So where the claims you made, just to make it clear, Islam went and invaded these countries, committed genocide, destroyed their civilization.
I think the case of Zoroastrianism in Persia is...
You mentioned Syria, so let's start with Syria, because it's quite interesting, because I have been to Syria, I've lived with the people, and I have seen a lot of signs of the civilization of the past which are still there.
Yes.
They may not be practiced, that's another thing.
He's Iranian, he's still alive.
Yeah.
You don't like.
And
Yeah, but I'm not in an Islamic
You said
I'm
genocide.
not in an Islamic society.
No, because if you killed your parents, you won't be here. Make sense?
No, I'd be
Is that possible
I'd be
then?
dhimmi.
Do you think?
Pure Islamic.
so
70 million of
if
Iranians.
his forefathers were killed, he won't be.
Zoroastrians,
Are you saying,
Baha'i,
brother?
Christians,
Are you saying
Jews,
if his forefathers were
Yazidi,
killed, he won't be here?
You know.
I have to think about that. If your forefathers were annihilated,
Genocide.
would you be still here? What do you all think? Do we have to?
And under strict Sharia law in an Islamic
Forget about
society,
that.
I'd be paying
Let's
jizya
go to
tax.
the history.
Right. So that's history for something that we cannot talk now, because it's only fair that you provide the references. Now let's go back in general. If Islam brings the truth to the people, to invite them to worship their creator instead of the creation, do you have anything wrong with that?
Theoretically, if it's a completely peaceful invitation to invite, and then like a Christian who proselytizes will say this, say that. If you don't listen, they'll go, they'll leave. You know, if it's that kind of level, then obviously I can't have a moral issue with that.
Okay, so now suppose now you are in a country and you are very restrictive in your country with borders, right? So I want to invite the common people. So how am I going to, this is 7th century, right? So I want to invite the common people within these lands and show them and really discuss with them the truth of Islam. So how,
philosophy, books, lectures.
right, how do I approach the common people? Because now you are a country state protected by your borders and your fences and your military and your government. So how do
So you're saying
how do we?
military
No,
subjugation
I'm
would
not
be-
saying anything. I want you, Shehzad, to give us the options of peaceful invitation options of how we go about inviting the common people. What are the ways we can do that?
Like I said, you know, theological debates, philosophical
How do I
discussions.
even have a debate with them? I can't go into the country.
Well, don't then. You can't violate their territorial integrity.
So the invitation is stopped from the very beginning. I can't even invite them. Is that what you're saying?
I'm sure that the invitation was there.
Now, how can you invite? Because you're not even allowed to go in.
Did they?
At that time,
Did Syria close their borders?
at that time, we're talking about the whole of
So now we're
the Middle
reversing.
East.
Now we're
No.
Evidence that Syria closed their borders.
Wait. We're not talking about Syria. Don't focus on Syria only. Islam came in the 7th century. Islam came in the 7th century, of the Christian era. Now it wants to invite people to this true religion. So how does it do that? How does it achieve without invasion, without genocide? Of course there shouldn't be any genocide. Of course there shouldn't be any invasion to kill people, right? You want to invite people in a beautiful way so that up to them they accept it or not. People should have their own choice. So how do you do? Today now you can have your own satellites and you can, broadcast, and people, whoever they want to, put in the signal in and receive the signal and then watch satellite TV. Zaki Naik has his own channel, right? You can watch Zaki Naik Peace TV if you want, for example. I'm sure there's lots of other privately Muslim-owned channels, not satellite channels. It's quite easy, right? You just have to choose and say, okay, this is the frequency, I'm going to tune in, I'm going to listen. Right. Previously then, you didn't have any satellites. You had to go into the people. So if the government doesn't invite you in, how do you reach to the people with the truth?
The only method I can think of is military invasion.
But that's not right, though.
Huh?
That's not right. According to you, that's not allowed. That's not permissible.
It isn't. It's not like
right.
you must convert to this, otherwise,
yeah.
So you are actually justifying the spread
I'm
of
not
Islam,
justifying. I'm asking you.
But
You are coming up with an alternative.
But you are suggesting that there was no other alternative.
What are the alternatives? That's what I'm asking you.
Military invasion.
And you accept that?
No.
That's not an alternative then. That's not a viable practical alternative, according to you. So what are the viable practical alternatives where people can really see the truth of Islam? How do you go about doing that?
I don't know. Carry a pigeon? What are you supposed to do? Throw the messages in? I don't know.
Okay. Do you know how Islam was invited to the people then?
I'd like to hear this.
Do you know?
Huh?
Do you know?
I don't know. Catapult the message in.
إن أعجبك الفيديو لا تنسى الإعجاب والاشتراك في القناة.